Hey there! Welcome to Mind on Cruise. If you're listening while driving, walking, or just sitting in silence, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking about something we don't usually have the words for. That foggy, stretched out feeling that makes you question everything, even though nothing's actually falling apart. Let me start here. Have you ever pulled into your driveway and just stayed in the car for no reason? You didn't fall asleep, you weren't on your phone, you just kind of sat there. Hand still resting on the steering wheel, staring out the windshield like your body got home, but your mind didn't follow. That feeling, it's not boredom, it's not laziness, and it's not a dramatic breakdown. It's something else, something softer, something in between, and no one really talks about it. But we will. That's what this space is for. A lot of people describe it as feeling stuck, or I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But more often, what they're really saying is, I've outgrown the version of myself I used to be, and I haven't met the next version yet. It's like you've closed one chapter of your life, but instead of the next one starting, you're just staring at a blank page. No title, no introduction, no plot yet, just space. You're still functioning, you show up, you reply to people, you even laugh when something's funny. But something underneath all that feels unanchored. Like your GPS is spinning, but you haven't left the parking lot. A researcher named Bruce Feiler calls this kind of transition a life quake. It doesn't always come with sirens and fireworks. Sometimes it's just the quiet ending of something that made up your identity. You lose a job. A friendship slowly fades. You stop loving the thing you used to be passionate about, and you're left with silence. But here's the part no one tells you. You're not broken, and you're not behind. You're in between. That uncomfortable space where nothing is certain yet. But that doesn't mean you're lost. It means you're still building what's next. Let me give you something real. A friend of mine once left a toxic job that was draining her. She had savings, she had a plan, and still, 2 weeks after quitting, she called me crying. "Why do I feel worse now?" she said. "I thought I'd feel relieved. I feel like I'm disappearing." Not because she regretted it, but because the version of herself that fit into that job was gone, and the new one hadn't shown up yet. That's in between, and it's deeply human. So if you're sitting with that quiet discomfort right now, this is me saying, you're allowed to be here. You don't need to rush through it. This isn't a glitch in your story. It is part of your story. You're not failing, you're just not finished yet. Let's keep driving. There's this quiet pressure most of us carry, like we're supposed to always know what we're doing with our lives. What's your plan? Where are you headed? What's next? And if you don't have a clean answer, it feels like you've failed some invisible test. Even if no one says it, it's there. In how people look at you, in how you scroll past everyone else's big updates, in how hard it is to say, I don't know. But here's the thing. That pressure is a lie. There's no human being on earth who has had perfect clarity all the way through. Not your friend with the business, not that person who posts perfectly timed workout videos every day, not even your parents who probably just look like they had it all figured out. The truth is, we all guess. We guess and we adjust. We try something and sometimes it fits. Other times it falls apart quietly. Let me tell you something weird but true. A study done at the University of Chicago found that people actually feel more confident about decisions they made with limited information than ones they overanalyzed. You'd think being 100% sure would bring peace, but often clarity comes after the action, not before. It's like driving at night. You don't need to see the whole road, you just need the next 200 feet. But that's hard to accept, right? Because clarity feels safe. We want to be sure before we change anything, leave anything, start anything. We want to feel like we know we're on the right path. But what if that's not how real life works? What if clarity is something you grow into, not something you start with? If you've ever changed your major 3 times or stayed in a job longer than you wanted to because it was familiar, or avoided starting something new because you couldn't see the end result, you've met this lie up close. And it doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. I'll give you something personal. I once turned down a great opportunity simply because I didn't know if it would lead to anything. I told myself I was being smart. I was just afraid of walking into something unclear, because I thought clarity had to come first. But that job? It ended up being posted again a year later, and a friend took it. It changed her life. Not because she knew it would, but because she said yes before she had the full picture. So here's the gentle reminder. If you're waiting for clarity to show up and give you permission to move forward, you might be waiting forever. Sometimes the clarity comes after the courage, not before it. You're not broken for not knowing. You're not behind for hesitating. You're just human. And human is messy, but it's also how everything real begins. Let's keep driving. We usually think of grief as something that comes with a funeral, a dramatic goodbye, an obvious loss. But here's a truth most of us learn quietly and late. Grief shows up in the in-between too. And often, we don't even know we're grieving. When a friendship fades out, not with a fight, but with silence. When you finally leave a job that drained you, but it still feels like a part of you went missing. Or when you realize you've changed so much that you don't even recognize what used to excite you. That's grief. Not because you want to go back, but because something familiar is gone. Even if you outgrew it, even if it wasn't good for you, it was part of you. And now it's not. I once talked to someone who said, "I don't miss my ex. I just miss who I thought I was going to be with them." And that hit hard. Because sometimes it's not the person, the job, the city, or the identity we're mourning. It's the version of ourselves we imagined would exist in that chapter. We're grieving a future that won't happen, and no one teaches us how to do that. Psychologists call this ambiguous loss. It's when something disappears without closure. It's not dramatic enough for people to rally around you, but it still aches. Like the moment you realize you've changed but can't explain how. Or when your old routines don't fit anymore, and you don't have new ones yet. Or when you see people you used to feel close to and feel nothing but distance now. That's grief, quiet grief. And we often push past it because it's subtle. You're not crying, you're still working, you're still answering messages. So everything must be fine, right? But under the surface, something's gone. And you haven't had time to say goodbye. Here's a moment that might feel familiar. You're scrolling through photos and you find one from 5 years ago. You don't miss the people, you don't even miss the place, but you suddenly feel this wave of something like nostalgia, but heavier. It's because the you in that photo felt real. And now you're not sure who this version of you is. That's loss. And it deserves a name. So if you've been feeling heavy but can't explain why, if nothing bad happened but everything feels different, you're not dramatic, you're not weird, you're just adjusting to a new identity, and that takes time. There's no rush to become your next self. Sometimes the most honest thing you can do is say, yeah, I miss who I was, even if I'm glad I've outgrown it. And then breathe. You're not falling apart. You're just grieving a version of yourself you had to let go of. Let's keep going. Let's talk about that brain fog. That strange, frustrating feeling where you know you should be doing something, but everything feels just a little too far away. Even simple things feel heavier than they should. You make a to-do list and then don't touch it. You open your phone to reply to someone and forget why you picked it up. You sit at a green light for a second too long before remembering it's time to go. It's not laziness, it's not a lack of motivation, it's mental overload from being between identities. See, your brain is built to seek patterns. It wants to know, where are we going? What's expected of me today? Who am I in this situation? But during transitions, those patterns fall apart. The job's different. The friendships shift. The goals are unclear. Even your sense of humor can feel like it changed without notice. And without patterns, your brain starts running background checks on everything. Is this the right direction? Am I missing something? Should I feel more excited right now? That background noise, it drains your energy before the day even begins. Here's the science behind it. There's a part of your brain called the default mode network. It lights up when you're not focused on anything in particular, like when you're daydreaming or driving. But when you're in a major life transition, that network starts working overtime. Instead of daydreaming, it starts running identity maintenance. So even when you're sitting still, your brain is processing like a browser with 47 tabs open, and none of them are loading. That's why nothing feels anchored, why conversations feel a little foggy, why your memory's off, why even fun things feel like too much. Your system is busy rebuilding itself quietly in the background. And just like when your computer's updating, you can't always open new programs while that's happening. I remember a time I spent a week rereading the same page of a book. It wasn't even a hard book, but my brain just slid off the words. Not because I wasn't trying, but because I didn't have the mental shape to hold new input. Sometimes that's what transition does. It empties you out so the next version has space to settle in. And yeah, that feels confusing, unproductive, slow, but it's not a mistake. You're not broken for not being sharp right now. You're not behind because you're not crushing it. You're in a phase of mental recalibration. You're between versions of yourself. And things don't always make sense when the map is still being drawn. Give your brain grace, even if it doesn't feel like it. It's working hard. There's this belief that keeps sneaking into conversations, books, reels, everywhere. You just need a breakthrough. You're one mindset shift away. Everything can change if you just decide. And sure, sometimes that's true. Sometimes we do have lightning moments. But most of the time, that's not how people actually grow. Growth in real life looks more like this. You wake up, you don't feel great, but you brush your teeth anyway. You go to work, you zone out halfway through a meeting, but you answer that one email you've been avoiding. You make dinner, maybe it's just toast, but you ate something That's progress, that's movement, not dramatic, not cinematic, but real. The problem is, we've been trained to expect transformation. The I hit rock bottom and came back stronger story. The glow up, the reinvention. So when you're just surviving quietly, it feels like you're missing something, but you're not. You don't need a breakthrough to move forward. You don't need a grand revelation. You don't need to suddenly become someone new overnight. Sometimes you just need a series of boring, honest, small choices made on days when you don't feel like yourself. That's what builds the next chapter. Let me give you a real moment. A guy I know was unemployed for almost a year. Every day he'd scroll job boards, close the tab, and go lie down. Nothing felt possible. One day, he got tired of feeling like a ghost and walked to the coffee shop down the street. Not to work, just to go somewhere. That one walk didn't fix anything, but the next day, he did it again. 2 weeks later, he saw a flyer in that shop for a free tech class. That's where he met someone who connected him to a job. That's how it works in real life. Not as a breakthrough, but a breadcrumb trail. If you're listening to this in your car right now and you're still showing up, still getting up, still driving, still putting on your shoes, still folding laundry while mentally dissociating, that counts. That is not nothing. You're participating in your own slow return, even if you can't feel it yet. So no, you don't need a breakthrough. You just need a little less pressure and a little more permission to be a person again before becoming anything big. If you've made it this far, you're probably sitting with something heavy. Maybe not dramatic, maybe not obvious to anyone around you, but you feel it. That stretch between where you were and where you're going, and you're probably wondering, how much longer is this part going to last? The truth? I don't know. Nobody does, but here's what I do know. It won't last forever. Even the most tangled seasons unravel eventually. Not because we force them to, but because we outgrow the fog without even realizing it. It happens in small ways. You laugh at something without faking it. You reply to a message without overthinking it. You start to feel present again in your own body. And one day, without making a big deal out of it, you'll realize you're not in the in-between anymore. You're in something new. You've started the next chapter, quietly. Here's the wild part. You probably won't even feel it start. It'll show up slowly, in little moments. You enjoy your own company again. You stop rehearsing conversations in your head. You feel curious about something. Not pressured to do it, just curious. That's what the beginning of healing actually looks like. Not fireworks, just curiosity. Just life without resistance. And here's what might surprise you. When you do move forward, you won't be the old you. You'll be softer in places you used to be sharp. You'll be clearer about what you won't settle for. You'll understand people's silence in a way you didn't before. This season rewires you quietly. It gives you new tools, even if you didn't ask for them. You become someone new, not because you fought harder, but because you allowed space. So if no one's told you this lately, let me say it now. You're allowed to not know where you're going. You're allowed to be tired. You're allowed to feel like you're in between things and still be worthy of care, respect, and love. You're not failing. You're just in the hallway between two rooms. And when the door opens, you'll be ready. Not because you fixed everything, but because you stayed. And that's enough. Wherever you are, just keep driving. Your next chapter is already unfolding. And if you know someone else who's sitting in that quiet in-between, Send this their way. Maybe it's exactly what they need to hear today. Thanks for being here. This was Mind on Cruise.